Hey everybody, how's it going? Been a long time since I was streaming regularly. This looks like my second one in the last couple of weeks, so happy to have you. And it's going to be a good one today. We're going to talk about Sui. We're going to talk about Sui. But before that, don't forget everybody is in Las Vegas right now. Everybody in crypto is in Las Vegas having a blast. They're taking pictures with Tyler Winklevoss and Peter Schiff and Michael Saylor, taking pictures of their food, taking pictures of these booths that no one really cares about unless they're literally standing right in front of the same booth, celebrating the Bitcoin bull market, that I told you started in November of 2023. And everybody else is stuck home suffering the misery that is DeFi. And of course, I'm talking about the huge hack that happened on Sui. So that's what we're going to talk about today. The hack, what the foundation, the app, and the community are doing about it, and whether or not this solution is really the best solution for the situation, or if this causes more problems long term. Not monetary problems. 225 million, hard to compete with that with the governance proposal, right? That doesn't happen very often, but happy to have everybody here. Just going to introduce the channel for anyone that's new. This is the Dead Cat Crypto YouTube channel where we talk about all things Web3, all things crypto that are related to you, the end user. That means apps, that means tokens that are actually useful. We give information, we do tutorials, and we do meaningful collaborations like the one that I have with the K-Pod network. So you might catch me over there every once in a while. Lots of information here, lots of speculation on tokens here, which is fun. And we're going to do some speculation today. Hope you're having a good day. Hopefully you're not in the trenches, as they say, sweating it out with the plebs. You really only needed to hold Bitcoin, and you did what, 300%, 400% from the bottom? No, more than that, because the bottom was about 16,000. I feel like the bull market was confirmed around 32,000. So even if you got in around 32,000, you did like a 3.5x. Not bad. If you're screwing around with DeFi, you might be down. I had no money on Cetus. Cetus is the DEX that got hacked. I like Sui. I'll show you some content that I did about Sui. I think they're doing things right. But as soon as a foundation or a validator set has to intervene in the business of an app on the chain, there are problems. We're going to talk about decentralization. We're going to talk about censorship. We'll talk about security. Okay, security. So if you're here, say what's up in the chat. I got the chat going, but I see a lot of people that have joined are on Twitter. Let me know that my sound is good. Let me know if there's no weird noises in the background. And yeah, don't forget, subscribe, follow on X, subscribe down below on the YouTube, And here is the YouTube. Here's the YouTube. So some recent content that I've done, nice short videos. This one's on Ellis, talking about partnering with the Cosmos Hub, paying yields in stable coins. That's not bad. This one's on Neutron. Neutron is application chain that is backed by Lido, talking about TVL here. Then we got a very user-focused video titled Crypto is Broken, and it's mostly broken for the end user, talking about crypto's biggest problem, which is fractured liquidity, fractured use case, fractured users, fractured mind share, all of that. And then if we go back far enough, we could find, oh, there's my Sui video right here. So I did this video on Sui. I went through the technical attributes of the chain. I went through some apps, a little bit about the tokenomics, and that was fun. So if you're interested in my take on Sui, it is right over here. But let's talk about Cetus. My God. $225 million hack. It's a DEX. It's a good DEX, right? We'll get in there, show you what it looks like. Agree to all these terms and conditions. Yeah. Just like CFI, I know. TradFi, all that. But yeah, I mean, it's a DEX, right? You can trade. You can earn by supplying liquidity. Farms, never really looked at the farms, but they've got farms that apparently don't load. So, yeah, there are farms, and then there are vaults, and I guess it's not going to show anything unless I connect my wallet. Cetus is their voting token, and it just looks like a regular DEX. So what happened? Well, what happened was, and let's get this on a screen nicely for you. What happened was that Cetus was the biggest DEX, not the biggest app by TVL on Sui, but the biggest DEX. It had like 300 or 400 million in TVL, as we'll see. And what happened? Well, it got drained. 223, 225 million, something like that. So DeFi Llama here, man, this is a brutal dark mode. Can I even turn it off? Doesn't look like it. Does not look like it. But you could see Sui's got almost 2 billion in TVL. That's nothing to scoff at. They've got $1 billion in stablecoin market cap. That's pretty good, right? It puts them up there with the top 5 or top 10 smart contract platforms in terms of TVL and stablecoins. Apps are making like 100,000 a day, chain revenue like 30,000 a day. That's not enough to support this token market cap, which is a lot higher. Whereas a token market cap's like 12 billion, making only 30,000 a day. Something's going to have to change. But you know what? I said the same thing about Solana, and it looks like now Solana is beating ETH in fees by a long shot. So Sui is they're a new-ish chain. They're not brand new, but they're a newish chain. They're building community. They're good at building community, and it seems like their apps are better than most when it comes to UI UX. So what happened? Well, let's get this. They were cruising in TVL, right? Here, TVL is 2 billion, dips for a while, goes back over 2 billion. And then you can see right here is when we had the, see if I can get that better for you. Yeah, you can see all the way to the right. This is the crash, the big crash, huge drop, like looks like over a lot more than the 220 million that was drained. And that's because all the token prices went haywire, and TVL is measured in obviously the token prices. So if 225 million gets drained, you've got tokens like Send, like Sui AI. I saw it took a beating. Heidel, however you say it, took a beating. 40, 50, 60% drops across the board. Meme tokens got wiped 80, 90% when I logged in that morning. So I was like, damn, I was just about to do another video on Sui and their tokens. And I was going to take $1,000 and go on Cetus, play around with some swaps, supply some liquidity, go on the lending platforms and demonstrate some of the apps. Good thing I didn't do that, because I would have got smoked. So huge drop. Everyone's panicking. This is on the 22nd. It's been exactly a week, and it seems like the problem is solved. Let's look at Cetus. Cetus AMM. There we go. Oh, God. So almost all the TVL got drained off of Cetus, and they've got only 35 million total value locked. And look, there are other DEXs on Sui. Like, this is not like they need this app. It just happened to be their best DEX in terms of TVL and liquidity and all that. Man, oh man. You might not even be able to see it. Let's switch places here. There we go. So you could see the huge drop. And you're a DEX. You got 200 million TVL. It's not bad, right? You got 250 million TVL. Now you're down to 30 million. It's like, how can you even function, right? Ironically, the Sui token barely took a hit. I sold mine. I think I sold it at 385 or 388, something like that. I sold. Like, I'm not going to hold through this. I don't know what's going to happen. We've seen this kind of thing happen before, and it completely demolishes everything in its path. And that's not what happened yet. But Sui, Sui, let me put this up there. It's like bulletproof, right? Massive hack. Barely, was it go down like 5%, 10%, something like that? It's not really anything. In crypto, we're used to 50% drops in like one candle, right? So there you go. Let's get into the details of what happened. I'm not a programmer. I'm not a security expert, but the result is what really matters. And this is my tweet. Let's go over here. Let's make it bigger. And this was my reaction to it. This is before solutions were being proposed. And by the way, the solution that's been proposed for the Cetus hack is to completely rewrite the blockchain history, essentially reverse the transactions using the validator set to nuke the wallet that was used. It's still holding some money, and return the funds to the platform. All right. So this is an app. This is not the L1 was not hacked. The app was hacked. And it looks like it was preventable, by the way. Looks like they were warned. And this was preventable and it was ignored. And then a couple months later, this happens. So my reaction was, this is terrible. Your biggest DEX essentially failed. The team failed. Incompetent team failed. Or incompetent auditors failed. Whoever you want to blame, someone is to blame for this. This wasn't an accident. So what happened to Sui? Right? It was a recent exploit, 220 million, 223 million it looked like, and proposed solutions are raising issues about decentralization and censorship. Will Sui recover? Well, I sold my tokens at this point. I'm not going to wait around. I learned my lesson many times in DeFi. So as a seasoned DeFi user, number one, I'm not going to call this an attack. Whenever they say, oh, a protocol was attacked, the attacker did this. We're victims in this attack. If you build a platform that's hosting liquidity that doesn't really belong to you, right, belongs to other people. If I LP on a DEX, I'm giving up my tokens. There's a trust factor there. No, I'm not sending it to a wallet, but I'm sending it to a liquidity pool, which looks like it's even less secure than a wallet, right? But if you call it an attack or you allow the team to say that they were attacked, it removes culpability, paints them as the victims, which they aren't. The LPers are the victims. So already I'm not going to call this an attack. And when you call it an attack, it implies that the 9 figures that got stolen was completely unavoidable, like lightning just happened to strike. No, it was not unavoidable, as we'll see. And then I go on to complain more. It's unacceptable that both the website and the mediums have no information about this incident. The Twitter really isn't that helpful either. So I know they put out on some type of blog forum, I forget which one, they talked about it. Great. But if you have a website that people go to use your app, you should have information there as soon as possible. Even if all the details are not out, you have to let people know what happened, right? And you should probably do it in multiple languages. Medium, same thing. If you have a medium and you have $250 million of other people's money that are trusted to you and your code, you need to update your medium when a catastrophe happens. And why am I less forgiving than most? It's because the LPers, the users, the customers take on all the risk of the DEX. The DEX is custodying the assets. Self-custody goes out the window in the name of decentralized. Look, we're decentralized. Throw all your coins into this one liquidity pool and, there's no single point of failure. Every liquidity pool is a single point of failure on a DEX. And it's the responsibility of the DEX to safeguard those assets. You have one job. Once you launch the platform, you have one job: secure the assets. The user funds, first of all, the users are your customers. In a way, they're kind of your investors. So what are you doing if you're not securing the funds? If you're not a reliable team, you're not a reliable DEX, and Cetus is not reliable, right? After this catastrophe. There is no APR high enough to attract sticky liquidity because there's an implicit agreement when a DeFi user deposits tokens into your contract that you supposedly got audited, that they're more or less safe. Yeah, there's a slight chance something will happen, or maybe there's a chance I could lose some of my funds, impermanent loss, whatever, depeg of a liquid staking token, whatever. But I get APR for that. And the APRs in DeFi right now, which is really one of the things preventing an alt cycle, there is no APR high enough to attract sticky liquidity when something like this is bound to happen, right? This is a vulnerability likely caused by inexperienced devs. And it seems like the team didn't want to listen to community members who raised the issue. I'll show you the tweets. It wasn't an attack. A smarter individual took advantage and nearly wiped out an entire ecosystem. And if you're telling me I'm being too hard on them, I don't understand code, that's great. But try to explain this. Imagine in TradFi trying to explain $100 million loss to your investors or your customers as an attack. Give me a break. Give me a break. Give me a break. And there's not a good solution here. Listen, I'm all for returning the customers' funds, the LPers' funds. I'm all for that. But that's not a good solution. That's the best of a slew of horrendous solutions, right? So now what? This is me, the idealistic, optimistic Joe. I'd like to see the liquidity exit this DEX and flow equally into other apps that are more reliable. That's true decentralization. Decentralize the funds across a neutral blockchain. And the Sui blockchain is not neutral, which we'll find out. It's more like, it's top down. It's kind of like Solana. And this would minimize the impact of future theft, less single points of failure. And until then, I'm short Sui. I told you I'm not shorting it, but I sold it. I think that when the dust clears, a lot of the bullish sentiment will be wiped away. You'll see influencers, KOLs, and even the foundation Twitter trying a little bit too hard to be positive on social media, which is fine. I'm a seasoned DeFi user. I'm tired of this crap. And you can't tell me it's nobody's fault. I will buy back in at a lower entry, by the way. I don't know what that entry will be, but I will buy back in. I like Sui overall. Okay. There's no good solution. The app has been defeated, and it is a big defeat for Sui. The solution is like the finisher, right? The solution, which is to return the funds by altering the state of the blockchain. It's a second defeat, even if it relieves the immediate pain of this this failure to secure user funds. Was the lesson finally learned? Boy, I hope so. And other DeFi app builders should stop what they're doing and look at this. It may not have affected you, but you need to plan for this. You need to plan for the worst. We're not early anymore. We see that, this kind of thing can happen. The risk reward proposition of supplying liquidity collateral, it's really not that enticing anymore. I mean, you could increase the APR by taking on obscene risk, right? You could loop and you could leverage and all that. Great. But I think the reason why there's so much money in stable coins sitting on the sideline is because DeFi is not as good of an opportunity to earn yield anymore for the average to intermediate user. It's not like it was. That means the security needs to be locked down. I will not supply. I'm supplying liquidity on one DEX with 1% of my portfolio. Okay. And maybe I'm not your target customer, but I'm in this space all the time, and you can't even get me to supply liquidity. So that should tell you something. And like I said, other builders need to look at this and I don't mean it to dance on their graves, to say, maybe we have to update our documents to let users know what are the measures that we might take if something like this happens. We will go to governance and try to get the state of the blockchain altered to save our app. Even though this probably screws our competitors, we need to protect our user funds. We need this in the documents. We need this to be, front and center in our policy. You need policies in Web3. We're not early anymore. Foundations should be guiding them through this process. In general, foundations are less specialized. They have more diverse skill sets, whether that be people from TradFi, people who know legal, people who know accounting, and people that know marketing. In general, that's how a lot of foundations end up being assembled. But they need to, if they're going to be stewards of the ecosystem, they're not going to be neutral. I understand that. But to be somewhat neutral and give every app builder a chance to prepare for something like this simply by thinking about what you would do if it happens. I mentioned decentralized insurance protocols. How do we not have these all over the place in crypto? My God, in 2020, 2021, I remember reading about them. Every chain needs some type of decentralized insurance. I don't know how it would work, but maybe we should put some effort into that rather than building another DEX. Look, another AMM, but this one's different. This one's blue. The other one was red. Give me a break. I thought insurance would be prevalent, very common right now. And overall, my reaction to this Cetus hack, the Cetus incident, was that foundations, big validators who really run the whole proof of stake network, whether you're on Solana, Sui, Polkadot, whatever. I can't believe I just said Polkadot. And the app builders themselves, you need to coordinate and cooperate better and not be reactive, be proactive. Get some smart people that are actually on your payroll that are looking out for participants. I'm not saying a community manager. Most community managers do a terrible job. They're just programmers who know how to tweet, who know how to respond to messages in Discord. No, you need to get some people who are maybe going to give you pushback when you try to add risk to your platform. Say, maybe we shouldn't do this. Or if we do this, what about all the participants over here? The people that are taking on all the risk are the customers in DeFi, really. And just because we talk about decentralization all the time, decentralize this and decentralize that, it doesn't mean disorganized, right? Some people say decentralization when there's a lot of gray area and a lot of disorganization. There are shady characters that thrive in this space because there is so much disorganization, and DeFi needs to grow up. It will be replaced by TradFi that just happens to like blockchain accounting, cryptography, and maybe tokenization of assets. And then DeFi will be, really, really obscure when centralized companies and platforms come in and just take the tech and just build their system on decentralized ledgers. So that's that. I said that I would go into prevention. And Cetus could have prevented this, it looks like. And I'm not a security expert. I don't claim to be a programmer. But if a concern is brought up that seems credible, don't you think you should look into it, hire somebody to maybe give their opinion on it instead of arguing back? Oh no, well, there's this is fine. The seasoned DeFi users, power users, they don't want to hear that anymore. So let's look at why I think this could have certainly been prevented. I'll go small and I'll put the tweet big. How about that? So talk to this guy today. He didn't want to come on the stream. He said he got a lot of crap for bringing this up. All right. This is in response to Cetus putting out a tweet about how they're going to mitigate this situation by, like I said, rewriting the state of the blockchain, calling it an upgrade in the name of security, and essentially stealing money out of the wallet that stole it from them. I don't know if that's wrong or right, but long story short, this guy comes with receipts. We brought this issue to Cetus and escalated it. Got this, the receipts have timestamps on them. March 7th, blah, 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 blah. So there you go. If you don't respond adequately to a concern like this, and then a huge hack or exploit or an attack happens, it looks like an inside job, right? Right? It looks like an inside job. It looks like they borrowed some tokens, something with collateral, blah, 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 blah. Like, sounds like a flash loan. What's funny is I just bought this token like 2 days before the damn exploit. But let's keep going. This is the order. They are the order in a decentralized, disorganized world. And they claim as soon as the 24th that Cetus was negligent. And I'm in no position to say one way or the other that this was negligence, but it looks like negligence. I will never LP on this DEX. I don't care what the APRs are. And if I'm a yield aggregator, I'm disabling all of my integrations with Cetus. I don't see how I would be able to run an aggregator that routes or yield farms Cetus. I don't even know what would help me regain my confidence in the DEX. I'll do swaps. I don't care about that. Right. I'm not like a priest, but I'm not supplying. I'm not giving up custody into a liquidity pool, is what I'm saying. But they summarize the exploit. 223 million in losses, 162 million was frozen in the wallet of the entity that stole the money. And the team is pursuing a white hat deal to recover this. In other words, they went to the validators and they said, please vote for this proposal. And they say there were community warnings as early as February 19th about prevention, referencing flash loan exploits on ETH. All right. By the way, I linked a bunch of these tweets in the YouTube video. You go to the description. I linked about 12 tweets down there. And then Cetus's response is that the attacks done on ETH, it's an attack, are not related to flash loans themselves. Flash loans are sometimes utilized as tools to take advantage of existing exploits. But that's not what the question was. The question was, can you control the problem? Is there any way for you to protect the project? And there definitely was, and they failed to do it. And this is Tyler Simpson. I don't know him, but his work was sent to me to help me research for this this live stream, and I don't even know how to respond to this. He's basically saying that the exploits that exist wouldn't exist if the flash loans were somehow disabled, right? Or altered to not allow the action taken that was able to drain the pools. And here he is. What if I told you I have proof that the flash loans on Cetus for target tokens, not normal base tokens, are actually causing havoc, ruining charts across the board on Sui because of their... So it looks like Cetus rolled out this flash loan program to complement the swaps. Maybe it was for, price arbitrage, price stable. I don't know. But this is public. And then they're saying Miston Labs, time to look into this. I go on the websites of both, and it's not clear to me that Miston Labs, big development team affiliated with Sui, is actually the ones who built Cetus. It seems like they're keeping it intentionally vague who actually built Cetus, right? It's not on the website that I saw, and I've been on the website for days. So it's another thing. Disorganization doesn't mean decentralization. It means disorganization. Where's the without transparency, you don't have accountability. So it looks like an intentional avoidance of transparency so that if something happens, it's just an attack, I guess. Right. So, and over here, I was looking for the governance proposal. So Let me go back to my Twitter. Let me find some stuff on my Twitter. We got some chat participants. Oh my God. This is the worst. This is a sign from God. This is a sign from God here. And the sign from God is don't do live streams. Joe, you're good at editing videos. You have a, great studio here, Dead Cat Studios. You've never once done a video about Hex. You don't know what Hex is. I know who Richard Hart is. I don't know anything about Hex. I don't know if it's proof of work. I don't know if it's proof of stake. I don't know if it's smart contracts. This is the one comment in the chat so far on the live stream where we're talking about Cetus getting hacked on Sui, completely unrelated to Hex. So this is the sign from God. It says, Joe, you were thinking about getting back into live streaming, on the regular. You set up your script, takes 6 hours the day before. You set up all your scenes. It's a great idea. God is telling me no. So this will probably be the last live stream. I'll go back to my pre-recorded, nicely edited, chunked short videos for you all. But yeah, I've never had to block a comment. Yeah, add to block list. There you go. Wait, I blocked him and the comment is still there. There we go. Okay. Oh my God. Richard Hart Hex comment is like market top. So let me go back here because there was a reply. Oh my God. This is such a great summary. Bitcoin to Gold, who I interact with a lot. This is via CoinDex. He just breaks it down, the attack. So here's the recovery effort. Right? And I'll get rid of this. You could get this in the description of the video. So I'll just get rid of my shared screen. So 223 million got siphoned off of Cetus into some wallet. I don't know if it's a multi-sig. I don't know. About 60 million made it off the network. I'm guessing it got bridged via Axelar or Wormhole off to ETH, where all the liquidity is, and it's easy to swap, right? But 160 million or so was still in the wallet that perpetrated the exploit. And validators on the network did something that I think is pretty clever. They refused to acknowledge requests from that wallet. So they essentially froze the funds, right? The funds were not able to be moved out of the wallet. I don't know why the guy didn't just send. I mean, this must have been sitting in the wallet for a day. Otherwise, the validators are really good on Sui, or maybe it's like one validator who has multiple nodes who's able to control the whole chain from one validator. That's very possible in proof of stake world, right? But there's $160 million frozen, not really frozen, but the wallet is being ignored by the network, so it can't move tokens. And the solution is, in the name of security, to claw back those funds using governance, which the Cetus team is deceptively calling. Man, the more I do this video, the more I hate Cetus. I was going to do a video on it, but man, these guys just have no sense of responsibility, and they're choosing their words carefully. They say, please support a chain upgrade to return the funds back to the users. So they're calling a clawback where the validators are going to vote to rewrite the blockchain to accommodate one app. Remember, Sui did not get hacked. The app got hacked. And they want to rewrite the whole blockchain to cover their mistake, right? I've seen this before. This destroys the confidence of a good percentage of blockchain users, of crypto diehards of DeFi wizards, right? So they're going to rewrite the blockchain, claw back the funds, and then I guess put it back in the liquidity pools. This is on chain, right? This is an on chain vote. And it's proof of stake. Whatever the validators want, they're going to get. The Sui Foundation supplying a loan to this app. And it's not a good solution. It might be the best solution, though, right? What are you going to do? You're going to let the whole blockchain fail because one app was careless? I don't know. I don't know the best solution, but if anything I could think of, the best solution is to return the funds. And I've seen tweets where the user funds are paramount, right? I listened to a space where it was open forum. People were discussing the issue, discussing the proposal to have the validators essentially nuke the wallet, take back the funds. And it seems like for Sui, their focus is security, and they consider this security. They're saying, if we don't do this, we're not secure. But I'm saying there will be people who think that if validators can rewrite the blockchain and move tokens from one wallet to another or one contract to another, that's not very secure. I don't trust any validators, neither should you. Even if I was a validator, I wouldn't trust myself because it's just a computer doing the stuff, right? So there are issues that people are going to have. Number one, decentralization, right? If a network is fully decentralized, I can't believe I just said that. But if we're aiming for decentralization, why does it matter what happens with an app on the chain to the foundation who built the infrastructure? The infrastructure is the blockchain, should be fairly neutral. The foundation is looking after the blockchain. It's a permissionless blockchain. Apps can just launch all the time. Why does the foundation need to coordinate with the apps on the chain to the degree that the blockchain history gets rewritten? That's like an issue for centralization, right? That's not decentralization. Preventing a wallet from transacting, that's censorship, right? You're censoring that wallet, regardless of the behavior, right? They stole. You're going to run into people who are turned off by the censorship. So you're losing users and confidence because you violated the unwritten rules of decentralization. You're violating the written rules of censorship. And this is more proof that proof of stake blockchains are not immutable. If it could be changed because one app had a bad day, it could be changed every day if any app has a bad day. Or validators simply want to collude. Yeah, I'm gonna bring this comment up because Ray Raspberry here, he and I know of a blockchain that did this, where they nuked the wallet, clawed back the funds, and then $2 billion vacated the market cap and the TVL of that chain. And I will not name that chain. They don't deserve to be named because the validators on that chain are losers. But anyway, perhaps this will finally invalidate the disingenuous narrative of immutable blockchains. Proof of stake blockchains are not immutable. They are absolutely not. A handful of validators, if they, or even liquid staking protocols, if they control enough of the stake, they don't need 2/3, they don't need half, they just need enough, and the rest can be done with bribes. The disingenuous narrative of immutable blockchains, and in some sense, not your keys, not your crypto, right? It doesn't matter. Your private keys don't matter. What matters is what the validators want to do on any given day. And in Sui, the validators want to take your tokens. Not without provocation, obviously, but the validators want to take your tokens if they think that your wallet is behaving badly. Forget your private keys. Even if they didn't claw back the tokens, they were censoring that wallet, preventing it from transacting. So decentralization, strike one. Censorship, strike two. Immutability, strike three. But then there's security, like I said. Do you feel secure transacting, supplying liquidity, locking up tokens for weeks or months on a network that can do this? And I don't know. I don't know the answer. This is an individual decision. But my feeling was this. I don't believe proof of stake networks are decentralized because of everything that I just listed. Not your keys, not your tokens is it kind of encapsulates all of it. Proof of stake networks to me are DAOs. They're decentralized autonomous organizations, right? They're corporations on somewhat decentralized infrastructure. Sui, Solana, they're pretty top down. These are companies, right? That are they're choosing to build on blockchain. Maybe blockchains, the nodes, the validators are geographically decentralized. But Cetus was a single point of failure, clearly. How decentralized is it when one app can take down your whole chain if serious intervention doesn't occur? Individuals will weigh this, and maybe it's not a huge hit. Maybe 5% of the users are turned off by this. That's still 5%. And in crypto, there is no network that can afford to turn off users. Everyone's fighting over users and liquidity from users. Because, like I said, with a DEX, the users, retail, the participants are supplying the liquidity for your application to run. For the most part, teams are just supplying the code. If you build it, they will come, right? So I don't know. Decentralization, censorship, immutability, security. Maybe this was the best compromise. Not really sure. I think it'd be better if I think a better deal would be not to return the funds, but to burn all the tokens in that wallet and let the chips fall as they may. You're going to piss off users, yeah, but would you rather the users of your chain be mad at an app or be mad at all the validators, the foundation, and just the idea of DeFi? I don't know. I don't know the answer. So you might see a flight of users looking for a chain that doesn't do this, and there are plenty of them, but all of them could. And it doesn't matter if you are Solana, ETH, Sui, Cardano, Tron. The validators run the show, and that's really just that's just how it is. So, got some people in the chat, people criticizing my English. I got dogs barking out the window. I don't know if you could hear that. I got no script. I jotted down 4 words, but what's going to happen? I think long term, you will slowly see an exodus of liquidity from Cetus, which is what should happen, to the other dexes, or maybe even off the chain. Right? Will it hurt the price of Sui? I hope so, because I'd like to buy cheaper. Right? I didn't make much money on Sui. I was up like 10%. I sold it all after a day of reading tweets. I'm like, this is not going to be good. If they're proposing to rewrite blockchain history, what's the point of blockchain? I'd rather have stable coins. I sold my Sui, put the stable coins on Kraken. I got some shit coins on Sui. I'm not selling those. Um but yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer. The whole situation sucks. And accountability should fall on those who wrote the code, who ordered the code, and then refused to follow up on warnings which look credible to me. And listen, if someone cares enough about your protocol as an outsider to point out these things in the telegrams and discords that you want people to join for the reason of communication, I think that these things need to be taken more seriously. So with that, with that, I don't know. Should we look at the markets? should we look at CoinGecko and see what's going on elsewhere? Right? We got good news. Everyone's having fun in Vegas. We're here screwing around. I was going to short Bitcoin from like 109. I didn't do it. Too lazy to put these trades in because then I got to monitor them. But here we go. I mean, I know it's not trading view, but yeah, I mean, 111.6 so far was the top. Couldn't get back over 110. Got to sell off. That always happens around these conferences. Let me get rid of the Cetus thing here. This is better. Should I buy or should I sell? It's like 9 people in the chat. So you guys just vote 5-4. No, I think I should be short here. I think we'll see. Is that right, Ambito? YouTube and Brave browser, the ad-free version. Is there another version of Brave? I've never paid for Brave. Doesn't allow chat on live stream. What? On your phone or on your I feel like I've used Brave to chat with people. Ambito just getting, listen, Dead Cat Crypto is here to inspire people, right? If you can't go to Vegas and have fun with the Bitcoin bulls who are up, from 16 G's all the way up to 111 G's, you come to the live stream and you get inspired. Like Ambito here, he's saying, I just gave him an idea for a little dApp. My advice would be, if you're going to have a token and it relies on liquidity, don't deploy on Sui yet. The validators might nuke your damn wallet. So, but that's that, guys. I think I'm short Bitcoin here. I sold on the way up. I bought the dip all the way down to 74.5. If you're in my Telegram, you know that. I sold it on the way up I think I sold between 91 and 101. And I also sold some Bitcoin that I purchased at like a 30,000, 25,000 DCA from 2022 to 2024. So I have stable coins on the sideline. My cold storage Bitcoin and ETH just sit there. I don't even know if I have that wallet anymore. I have the seed words in a gun safe somewhere. I do have that wallet. And look, it's a Trezor. This is my cold storage. So Bitcoin and ETH, they sit on the cold storage. I would move some Bitcoin if we got in like the mid 120s. I would probably sell like 10 to 20% of my Bitcoin there. Have myself a fun summer. But really, I have stable coins on a sideline because I mean, there's a chance we zip back down like to the 90s and even below. And if the whole cycle is over, Jesus, we're going down to like 45,000. I hope everyone's okay with that. So that's why I sold on the way up. Didn't think we would reach all-time highs again. I just did, but there was so much bullish news that came out right after I sold. If I had held for another couple days, I would have sold a little higher. But the amount that I'm selling, it wouldn't make a huge difference. It's not like selling at 101 and 106 would have been thousands of dollars. Like, I'm not selling multiple Bitcoins at a time. So I just wanted my orders to fill. So I sold it like 91, 95, 96, and then 101, something like that. So we got Tanks Talks Life, another streamer in the chat. We got the Despicable Ray Raspberry in the chat. We got Ambito in the chat. Everybody else is on X. And that's where I'm going to be right after I log out of here. Thank you for joining. If you're not already subscribed, down below. Follow me on X if you want more complaining, ranting, raving, and telling you everything that's wrong with DeFi, proof of stake, app tokens, and foundations.